Alright, how's everybody doing today? Back again with another video for you guys and gals. Today in this video, let's talk how I set up the Bold N1 and go over some specific software features and how I feel about how Bold has decided to set up the software on their device. So, as y'all can see, I pretty much have my typical folder set up here. So I have all of my folders labeled except for the bottom primary ones that I use all the time. So you can see primary phone dialer, primary messaging and video apps here. Okay, primary folders that I use all the time, primary web browsers, primary camera and gallery. All right, primary shopping apps, so on and so forth, social media, movie and TV apps, and then common apps that I use on a daily basis depending on what I need to do, as y'all can see here. Okay, and then these are device specific up here. So gaming, depending on how far I've gotten with the gaming performance video. So y'all can see I'm actually working on the last part of it here, which is going to be Mortal Kombat X. And then benchmarking, depending on how far or what things I still need to test. So y'all can see I have some more Wi-Fi testing to do and some more charging testing to do. So y'all can see in terms of that stuff how far I am in those aspects. Okay, then generally I keep a battery widget here so I can easily get into it when I'm testing battery life and overall charge times. I need to be able to quickly get into those screenshots. A display widget if I need to change stuff on the display. An accessory widget if I want to get down to that little icon y'all see in the corner, which is the little person. If I tap on it, I can easily get the stuff here. Tap on it again, it goes away. Alright, then I got a weather widget, and then I got an entertainment widget, so I always know when my favorite shows and things are coming on. Now, let's get into one of the things that I don't like about Bold setup. Now, as y'all can see, we have the the Google widget up top there, which I can activate by saying the phrase or tapping on it or tapping and typing. Well, with Bold's interface on their N1, you can't move that, you can't rearrange that, it's kind of stuck up there. Okay, so I can't take it off, I can't move it, it's stuck there. Now, I'm okay with that, but I would love to move it down to the bottom and more of what Google has implemented with it. To me, that makes it a little bit easier to access, especially with the fact that I'm disabled and I have small hands. So moving it to the bottom of the screen would have made it easier to access. But that's how Bold has decided to implement their software. Now you can change that by downloading a separate launcher, which I've already done. So if I swipe up, y'all can see I have Nova Launcher on deck, Nova Launcher Prime, and I'm going to go over my setup with Nova Launcher and why I think Nova Launcher is one of the go-to launchers if you have an Android device. So we're going to get into that. So this is my initial setup here. This is my initial home screen. And then if I swipe here, this is my workout home screen with my primary music apps and my primary fitness apps, okay? And then I have the primary widgets. I have the Huawei Health widget and the Google Fit widget, and I use these every day when I exercise. I exercise 4 days a week, so really good stuff there. So these are my main two pages, and then if I swipe to the far left, we have the Google feed here. Okay, so I really like how Bold has kept it fairly stock, but if I swipe down and we get into the notification shade, you can see they've done some slight tweaks to the overall software. You can see the battery percentage indicators different, and there's some small tweaks to the quick toggle icons that are different. Okay, so overall I like their minimalist approach, so that's pretty cool. And you can see they've provided a dedicated screen recorder. So if you don't want to go download your own, they have one built into the software. And they have a dedicated screenshot widget, which gives you access to the super long screenshots and some other things if you tap on it here. So you can see you could do some different things with the screenshot widget if you choose. Now, this is cool, but I'm more of a fan of the screenshot implementation that Motorola works with. To me, that's more intuitive and easier to use, but I still like the fact that they incorporated that. So really nice touch there, Bold. Now, let's dive a little bit deeper into some more of the settings and features. So y'all can see how I laid out my quick toggles widget. If you want to edit that, you hit the little edit icon and you can move the toggles around as you see fit, and you just hit the back button when you got it set up the way you would like. Okay, so good stuff there. Now, if we dive into the settings, you can see this is the main settings page for the Bold N1. If you would like to know about the device, you hit here. So if we hit about, I'm going to gray out the sensitive information for y'all. So if we hit about, you can see all your information here, name of your device, all that good stuff there, your SIMs, your phone numbers, all that good stuff. And they give you quick shortcuts to different features if you would like to know more about it. Okay, so we hit back out of there. Go down, we got our basic stuff. We got our mobile settings here. This is where you would go to configure your SIM. So you can see this is a dual SIM device. We got AT&T in SIM 1, and we got T-Mobile in SIM 2. And if you want to configure your different SIMs, you tap on it and you configure it. If you need to add access point names, you would do it here, so on and so forth. Okay, so basic stuff there. Now let's back up a little bit. Now just below that, we got the SIM manager. Now I'm not going to get into that. That's pretty much self-explanatory. Wi-Fi, hotspot, so on and so forth, and more mobile networks. So you can see we got VPN, we got private DNS, all that good stuff here, emergency broadcast, and you can configure most of this, y'all. Now if we go to display, you can see the display settings that we have here. So like I said, I typically keep this at about 25% brightness. I noticed that in the past couple of days when I take this outdoors, because it's an AMOLED display, it gets really bright outdoors, and I rarely have to take it over 50% brightness. So I usually keep it between 25% and 50%, and y'all can see I turned off most of this stuff. So adaptive brightness, turn that bad boy off, don't like to use that. And night mode, I like to toggle that off and on as I see fit. Okay, now you have night mode, but you also have a dark mode as well, so that's really nice. Y'all can see I set the screen timeout to 30 minutes. I like to turn that on and off as I see fit. I don't like it to time out, so I just went with the maximum that you could choose. Okay, as y'all can see, and then I have everything set to small so I could fit as much on the screen as possible. And I gotta say, this edge-to-edge display is really nice, really good stuff there. Now if we get into buttons and navigation, y'all can see we could do a few different things. So we can hide the navigation bar right down here by toggling this. We got that quick hide toggle there. Now you can go to the on-screen gestures. You can go with the older navigation gestures here. So you see we got the pill with the back arrow as needed, or you can go to the full gestures here, and y'all can see if you swipe along the edges, you can do different things, and you can also rearrange your configuration by choosing your options down here. Okay, so you can do that with your gestures, or you can do that with your virtual keys. You can see you can change it to however you would like it to be, and you can set it to hide it if you want to. Now, one thing that I don't like about the gesture support here is that I don't like their implementation, and the overall swipe gestures are not the best. So as such, I'm either stuck with going with the older pill gestures, or I'm stuck with going with the virtual keys. Now I have a original Google Pixel XL, and I'm actually a big fan of the way Google has chosen to implement their new gesture system. Okay, and I actually have Android 10 running on the Google Pixel XL first generation. So Bold, I know y'all can do it in the software update. Y'all need to get rid of these gestures and go with the gestures that Google has decided to go with. In my opinion, that would make it a lot better. And not only that, but that would free up the screen real estate that the virtual buttons have to take up, because the gestures that y'all have decided to go with here is definitely a no-go. Alright, so that's the one issue that I have, or two issues that I have so far with both software implementation, but that goes over the buttons and gestures. Then we have our sound controls here, which you can easily adjust, and you can easily add on your different sounds. So you can see I got some copyright free music here set up to be my messaging and my phone calls. Now, I use the AT&T SIM primarily for data, so y'all can see I've turned off those notifications there. Now, the fact that it comes with a phone number is just a bonus, but primarily when I'm using dual SIMs, I use T-Mobile for talk and text and AT&T for data. So you can see I've turned off all the things where the AT&T SIM is concerned. All right, now moving on, y'all can see we have our typical apps and notifications here, and you can see some of the apps that I've typically been using so far. So total, I have 96 apps installed. I already showed you guys and gals what came on the device by default. Okay, so you can configure your permissions here, you can configure your default apps here, so on and so forth. And just so y'all see, I do have Nova Launcher set up here, and let's go ahead and jump into the Nova Launcher setup before we move on to the rest of this video. So if I tap on Nova Launcher here, okay, and y'all can see this is my Nova Launcher setup. So it's similar to how I've configured the stock setup, but I have my Google widget down at the bottom, and I have more of a stock icon theme here, but everything else is basically the same, and I have my Google feed off to the left, so on and so forth. But the main differences here is that I've configured the Nova Launcher setup to where if I do a double tap, it turns off the display. So that's really, really cool, and I can only take advantage of that because I have an AMOLED display. Which leads me into the next thing I feel Bold needs to implement on their software. You have came out with a device that has an AMOLED display. Why not have an always on display? They don't have that on this device. Also, how come you guys don't have double tap to wake or sleep? Now, the double tap to sleep is not an issue because I use the Nova Launcher, and you can configure that in the launcher settings. So if we jump into the launcher settings here and I go to my gestures, y'all can see how I have things set up. So the double tap to sleep is not an issue there, but I would love to have seen double tap to wake. Okay, so that's another thing I feel Bold needs to implement. They need that double tap to wake, and they need that always on display, especially now that they decided to go with an AMOLED display. That would take this device over the top, in my opinion. Okay, y'all almost there. Couple more tweaks, y'all will be there. Now let's jump back into the settings and continue this software walkthrough here. And let me turn the launcher back to the default, because y'all know during the review process I like to keep it on the launcher that comes on the device. It makes it a much more authentic review process, in my opinion. Okay, so let's move on here. All right, and let's get back in. Now, moving on, the next thing I want to show y'all is where Bold has hidden their custom features that you can turn off and configure to some extent. So if you go to Intelligent Assistant, this is where you can see all the features that Bold has on their device. So they have flip to silence. They have the three finger screenshot. So you just take 3 fingers and you swipe it down on the screen like so. You take a screenshot and then you can edit it with your choice of apps if you choose edit. Okay, so that's cool. You can do that along with the screenshot pull down that's in your notification shade. Okay, now you can calibrate your display. You got the double tap of the power button to launch you into the camera, and you have raise to wake. So if you toggle on raise to wake, you can pick up your device, it wakes up the screen, and then you can use your under display fingerprint sensor to unlock the device. Now, I've been using the under display fingerprint sensor for a few days, and I have to say I'm still getting used to it. It seems pretty good. If you register your finger twice, then it gets a lot more reliable, but it's still not as reliable as the physical fingerprint sensor, but in my opinion, it's pretty cool. Okay, so that's not bad. But this is where you would change the custom features that come on your Bold N1. That's in the Intelligent Assistant section. Okay, so that's that. Everything else in here is pretty much stock. They just themed it out a little bit to make it look a little bit more colorful. So you got your security and location here. This is where you have access to adding different fingerprints, changing your lock screen pattern. You can see your software security patches, so on and so forth. You could check for software updates, all that good stuff here. You got your smart lock here. We do not have face unlock on the Bold N1, so that's another thing that I feel like they could have implemented. Now, yes, I know you got that pop-up camera, and every time you use it, that's it wears down the motors, but it still would have been nice to have that face unlock. Okay, so yeah, just wanted to point that out there. Pretty much basic after that point. Now, if you want to get into your storage and all that stuff, like I showed y'all in the unboxing and first impressions, you have to go into system for that. And this is where you can also check for your software updates. So if I tap system update, y'all can see it scans, and we are running on Android 9, formerly known as Pi. Now that Google has rearranged their software structure, it's just Android 9, and they're on the July 5th, 2019 security patch as of the recording of this video. So y'all can see that there, okay? And then you can see this is where you would check your storage. You can also see the battery percentage. If you want to configure your keyboard, you can do it here as well. And you can see the storage. My storage, after loading up all my apps and signing into everything, y'all can see I'm using up almost 27 gigabytes out of the 128, which was formerly 118 after everything was said and done. Okay, so y'all can see I have my music installed. I've been taking some photos and video samples, so y'all can see I got about 4 gigs in photos and video samples so far. And then I have all my apps installed, and you can see I have about 10 gigs in other apps. So y'all can see just how that is after everything is all said and done there. Just so y'all know, because we all about full transparency over here. This is also where you go if you need to reset certain options if you're having any issues with your device. So if we go into reset here, you can reset your Wi-Fi, your mobile modules, your Bluetooth, so on and so forth. You can also do a hard factory reset here, or reset your system preferences back to default. That's what's in your reset options. Okay, just so y'all know, we do have the Bold privacy settings here, so y'all can see just what type of privacy settings Bold is trying to take advantage of when you first set up your device. Now you toggle off and on what you guys and gals are comfortable with. Okay, so that's up to y'all. So this essentially goes over all of the software on the Bold N1, and this goes over my overall setup. Okay, now let me put it back to how it was, because I've been using my Google Pixel, so I pretty much have it set up like this, and I toggle between the Nova launcher and the stock launcher. Now, the Nova launcher is going to be the go-to after I go through my review process. The stock launcher is just what I use for my review process here, and y'all can see how I have it set up. So, overall, it's been a couple days since my unboxing and first impressions. How do I feel about the software that Bold has chosen to implement? It's pretty good. A few more tweaks and a few more features, and it will be there. Okay. How do I feel about the device so far? So far, it's a pretty good device. Now, I'm having a few issues that I'm going to get into when we get into the full review. So I'm going to save those issues for the full review, and I can pretty much recreate those issues on the fly, so that's not going to be stuff that I forget about. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that stuff in the full review, which will be out in a little while. It's not going to be out soon, I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's going to take me a little bit for this one, but so far so good. All right, I hope you guys and gals have enjoyed this video, and I hope y'all found it helpful, and I hope everyone has a great day. That being said, I'll catch you guys and gals in my next video. Peace, everyone.